Most guitarists move around the fretboard like they're following Google Maps. You're stuck in turn-by-turn mode, and the second you miss a note or forget a scale shape, you're lost. You're just waiting for that GPS to say recalculating. But think about driving through your hometown. You don't need a map because you know the landmarks. You can take a detour or a wrong turn and it doesn't matter because you intuitively know the layout. Today I'm going to give you 3 little patterns that turn the entire neck into your neighborhood. You'll be able to move through any key anywhere on the neck and never feel lost again. So these 3 patterns are all variations of something I call chord roadmaps. You may be familiar with 1 or 2 already, but it is very important you stick around for roadmap number 3, which I have never talked about before. This is because it solves a significant problem that you'll run into when you start comboing these patterns with your scales. And this eventual lead and rhythm merger is what makes these patterns so incredibly powerful. All right, let's start with the basics and look at our first roadmap. So for chord roadmap number 1, we are going to start on this G note, and whichever note we start this roadmap on, that's going to tell us the key we are playing in. So in this case, G note, meaning this chord roadmap is going to work for the key of G major. Our roadmap looks like this: 1, 2, 3, then we jump up a string, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and each one of these represents the root note of a bar chord. So we're going to play bar chords rooted on each of these notes. And whether they're major or minor is going to depend on the number. So the number of the note is very important. 1, 4, and 5 are going to be major bar chords. 2, 3, and 6 are going to be minor. And then 7 is the one weird one. It's going to be diminished. Don't worry, you're not going to use this very often, but I'll still show you a shape for it. So we play our bar chords: G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and then this F sharp minor 7 flat 5, which represents that diminished chord. And you could probably hear this just follows a major scale, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now what we can do is we can move this into any other key we want and nothing's going to change. So if I slid everything up 2 frets and let's say started this exact same pattern from an A note, well, now I would play new chords, but I don't even really need to know the names of all the notes for my chords for this new key to all fall into place. Something you might be thinking is how awkward this would be for some of the keys as we move up the fretboard. For example, if I wanted to play in the key of C major, well, a C doesn't start till all the way up here, and that means that all of my chords, well, I'm going to be going pretty high up the fretboard. So to solve that, we find our starting note of the key on the A string and then flip and shift the roadmap. This would give us chord roadmap number 2. So instead of placing that note right here, this C note, we're going to do it on the A string, which brings us down here. So for the key of C major, we're going to use this new chord roadmap where we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then instead of going up to the next string, we're actually going to go down to the lower string and go 5, 6, 7. And we can just play bar chords based on the number. Now remember, these have to line up with the numbers. So C major for 1, D minor for 2, E minor for 3. We get F major for 4. We go down here, G major for 5, A minor for 6, and then we have a new minor 7 flat 5 shape here, since this one is rooted on the low E string instead of the A string. And that gives us B minor 7 flat 5. And just like with chord roadmap number 1, we could shift this anywhere we wanted. So let's do 2 frets up again. Now we would be doing this based on a D major, the key of D major, so that's a D note right there. And chord roadmap looks the exact same. Okay, great. So between these 2 roadmaps, we can pretty much cover any major key. We don't even need to worry about memorizing a different set of chords for each key. We just position one of the 2 roadmaps and then follow the pattern with bar chords. But what about minor keys? Well, we can use the same 2 patterns thanks to a concept called relative keys. Every major key has a relative minor key containing all the same notes and chords. So back to chord roadmap number 1 here, the key of G major. And if you just locate the note in the pattern labeled number 6, that is your relative minor key. So in this case, note number 6 is an E, meaning this roadmap also works for the key of E minor. E minor contains all the same notes and chords as the key of G major. And if I shift this pattern somewhere else, then note 1 will be my major key. And whichever note my number 6 lands on, that will be my relative minor key. Same can be done with roadmap number 2 as well. Back to the key of C major here with chord roadmap number 2, and we just look for note number 6 in this pattern. That one is right here. This is an A note. So C major and A minor, relative keys. And if I move it up 2 frets, now we're in the key of D major. Well, in the pattern, my 6 is still here, but now this is a B note, meaning D major, B minor, relative keys, and all of these chords in this chord roadmap are going to work for both D major and B minor. I'll include a complete list of major keys and their relative minor keys in this week's downloadable lesson PDF. That will be available to both Patreon members and YouTube channel members. And we'll also include all of today's fretboard diagrams and charts as well. You'll find a link to that down in the description if you'd like to get it. So these roadmaps are really just a starting point. They're movable foundations that you then build onto. So check this out. Let's add a pentatonic scale. We'll do this with chord roadmap number 2 first because it works so well. You can see that when I add the scale, it just sits smack dab in the middle of our roadmap, giving me super easy access to it whenever I play any of my chords. Now, we want to do the same thing with roadmap 1, but we hit a pretty annoying snag. Let me show you what I mean. I'm showing it here shifted up 2 frets to the key of A major just because it makes it a little easier to visualize this. But look what happens when we add that position 1 pentatonic scale. It sits outside of our roadmap. This is where chord roadmap number 3 comes in. We are going to make a significant change to roadmap 1. So same starting note here, this A note, but instead of going this way up the fretboard, we are now going to go backwards. So now we've got 1 here and we've still got our 4 above, but we are now going to have 3 and 2. And back here, we're gonna have 7, 6, and 5. So it's gonna be open in the key of A here. If we move this up further, that would no longer be open, but in this case, it's open. And what this does is it now places everything right in and around that position 1 scale. Very convenient to just grab all the chords. Remember, the numbers are the important thing. That's going to tell us which ones are major and which ones are minor. So that's all 3 basic patterns. That means you now have quick access to every chord in a key, plus a scale nearby, no matter what you're playing. These chord roadmaps also work as a great way to kind of walk up and down between chords. So key of C major, chord roadmap 2 here, and in between each chord that I play, I'm just going to play a few notes from the chord roadmap to kind of bridge together each chord. And it almost adds like these walking up and down riffs, even if I do it very simple like this. Add a little more sauce to it. The logical next step here would be to start stacking and connecting other systems into these roadmaps. We can incorporate both the horizontal and vertical cage systems, also the home bass system, and another new system I created called the keystone system. All of these fit together like the pieces of a puzzle to create a complete and clear picture of the entire fretboard, one that you can see no matter what key you're playing in. These connected systems are what I teach in my newest course, The Connected Guitar. So if you find learning like this works for you, then I would love to have you join me. It's 3 hours, no fluff, very concise, and focused entirely on making sure that you actually learn this stuff in the shortest amount of time possible. So if that sounds good to you, I'll give you an extra 30% off only if you use the link in the description below this video. And it's also backed by a full 30-day money-back guarantee. I hope I see you in there. From here, if the course isn't really your speed, then I'd recommend this lesson right here. It'll show you the best way to learn the 5 scale positions. And I almost forgot, kind of relevant, but I've also got a free fretboard guidebook that you can find linked down in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.